Hi guys, it's James here from Beowulf Training. We're looking at one of the things that we see quite commonly in a squat in terms of kind of discomfort. It's the front of your hips. Again, it's something that we see predominantly at the bottom of your squat, and it feels like a pinching kind of, I say pain, it could be just a discomfort, but it's that pinching feeling right deep into the hip. A couple of reasons that it could be a mechanical issue, and that mechanic thing may just be you pulling your hips back too far in the squat, and we get a close down of this torso towards the thigh. So it could be that we're getting this kind of pulled medial rotation, so this inward rotation of your legs, which causes this pinch, and it could be this closing of our pelvis. So we call it an anterior tilt. You can sometimes see that you have this curve in your lower back and your pelvis rolls forward. It's another reason that we may still kind of feel that pinch into the front of the hips. It could also be a compensatory thing from a lack of ankle range. So if you don't have that ability to get the knee past the toe in your squat and you are having to then reach back in your hips, it could be another cause of that pinching in the front. Quite commonly we see people with this kind of discomfort that actually sit down behind the desk for long periods of the day and actually become quite tight and quite short sometimes in these kind of hip flexors in the front. It's not always the case, but it is quite common. So one of the best things that I would suggest for this is a real simple couch stretch. I recommend this for anyone who kind of sits down for long periods of the day anyway, but it can definitely help relieve some of the discomfort that you get on the hip and the bottom of that squat. So the couch stretch is going to have a couple of different progressions, I guess. And the first one is being in a lunge position on the floor, and you'd be looking to stretch the leg at the back. Okay, so you're in that lunge position, you're setting that knee down on the floor, and we're looking to tuck your pelvis under into that posterior tilt. So especially if you have this anterior tilt that's rolled forward, this lower back arch, it may be a little bit tricky for you to do that initially, but we're looking to basically squeeze your bum and lock your stomach down. So if you thought about where your sternum and your belly button was, we're looking to close those 2 points together and create that tension. In that position, you should straight away feel that actually there's a bit more of a pull coming through the front of that leg, through the thigh, and up into the front of the hip, hopefully kind of where you're feeling that pinching. In terms of time, we're looking anywhere from 90 seconds to 120 seconds, just hanging out there and making sure that we're in that nice, strong kind of braced pelvic position the entire time. A couple of ways that you can progress it from that, just in that kneeling position on the floor. You could potentially move forwards or backwards and just try and see how that feels. You may find that one of those gives you a better stretch than the other. Go after it and you can spend some time there. The next one is going to be just kind of looking to raise the back foot. Now this isn't something that I would do too aggressively straight away. So it may be just that you find pillows or a number of pillows, it could be a chair, anything that allows you to kind of maintain this lunge position and maintain that posterior tilt, that engagement of the stomach that we mentioned earlier. You need to make sure that, again, hips stay nice and square and you're not having this leg off at any kind of funny angle. And again, you're looking to just chase after this stretch. If you lose it, we know that something's not going quite right. See if you can rectify that, move around and just kind of get yourself back into that stretch position. As soon as you start bringing that leg up behind you, it can get quite intense. I would recommend that you don't go above kind of a 7 out of 10 in terms of intensity on that stretch. Anything above that, then you're probably not going to be relaxing well enough. Because it is quite an aggressive stretch, or it can be, especially up at around that 7 out of 10. Take your time, breathe deep, focus on that breathing, it's going to help you relax big time. Again, you can move forwards and backwards in that position to facilitate more of a stretch. From that point, again, it's just taking that leg up even further. You could have that shin flat to a wall, as long as you can still maintain square hips and in that lunge position with that posterior tilt through the pelvis. So guys, it's always good to remember that this is just one of the things that it could be in terms of that pinching in the front of the hips. If it's an ongoing thing and it is a concern, as always, we always recommend that you go and get it looked at, just to make sure that the drills that you were doing are helping you relieve that pain. If you're looking to do it and involve it in your training, ideally before your session would be the perfect time, just so you're clearing out those restrictions before you hit your session, especially if you are going to be hitting that squat pattern. Perfect time to do it before. But again, you can still do it afterwards as well. So if you are hitting a heavy session, spend time in that position, you'll be nice and warm, so it's a perfect time as well. But it's also just something that you could do at any point if you're having recovery days, as I mentioned, of a night time when you get in from work. It's a real simple go-to stretch that's going to be handy for most people. Any comments or questions, guys, as always, leave them below. See you next week.